This video took much longer to make than I'd expected. I actually started about this time last year, and I thought I was gonna have it done by like April. But, well, there's just so many blasters. Here we are. And aside from me just being a slow animator, there are some things that I think I could have done differently to speed up the process a little bit. So let's get into it. 3 seconds in and we've already got problems. This dolly shot was an ordeal. So first off, it looks pretty janky. The camera movement is quite inconsistent and it's panning about the place. But how do you animate camera movement with a DSLR? Well, there's a few ways. You can move the set, but then you have to move the lights or else you're gonna kind of leave them behind. The lighting's gonna be all inconsistent. Or I guess you can move the table, which seems a bit awkward. Or you can shove your tripod on a desk chair and push it along the floor a little bit, inch by inch, and then when it inevitably swivels, you can swivel it back into place. Who would do that? I don't know why I did it that way. Is there a better way? Yeah, definitely. You guys like my rig? This is for the camera to sit on as I slide it along. So basically the same as what I've seen everyone else doing anyway. I've got a tab here that I can use to track the movements as it slides along next to a ruler, so I've got more precise movements. I gave this a try and yep, it was a lot easier. Here is a comparison of the shots. We're still not done with this little rascal of a shot though. Let's talk about the post-production. So we've got these guys with blasters in the foreground, we have a Jedi with a lightsaber in the background, and then we've got the muzzle flash that's going to be added in between. Now this covers the lightsaber, but the guys with the blasters cover it. So what I should have done is for every frame, have a green screen in front of the guys with blasters and take what we call a clean plate, which is just the background on its own. So now I can just key out the characters and put the muzzle flash underneath. There is some green spill here because the paper is shiny and quite close. However, in this case, it can work because the character is standing against a bright light and there's lots of reflections going on, so their outline is going to disappear into the light a little anyway. Ready for a mask jump scare? Boo! Look at all these masks. What is this, 2020? So this is what my After Effects timeline looked like. Lots of animated masks, lots of swapping masks in and out. The blaster bolts are made up of 2 parts. The first is a lightsaber activation flare that I got from Yashmin. It's under his lightsaber tutorial. The second is the Saber plugin that you get from Video Copilot. I also used their plugin Vibrance to enhance the color of the muzzle flash on the Heavy's blaster. I used my RGB torch for the flash of the blaster on the characters, and then I basically just masked that frame on top and feathered it. I think this shot has a bit of a green screeny look to it, but I like its ambitiousness. For the walk and talk scene, I put the camera on top of this lid and pushed it in between 2 planks of wood. And yeah, again, everything I do is pretty rustic. I stuck a ruler down beside it so that I could get precise movements for each frame. This shot didn't turn out spectacularly though. There was still some play to the left and right when moving the camera, which I was constantly adjusting. Really what would help here is better planning and doing a test run of it. The boards just weren't weighed down enough, which caused slack in the rig. I'll start a shot and then run into problems and then just improvise my way to the finish, thinking that I'm saving time doing that. when in actual fact, even though planning can be time consuming, I think it saves you some time in the long run. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of the hurdles and headaches that were involved in this animation process, but was there anything I did do to speed this up? Yes. One way I did save time on this was by simplifying some of the dialogue movements. So for example, with the call scene, we've got quite extreme and repetitive movements. And this is something that I think Edbound cracked the code on. You can do drastic movements, you just have to make sure you follow through on them and ease them in and out. Another way I saved time was by green screening this doorway. This meant that I didn't have to combine the sets. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to hear from this Reddit comment. Very smooth animation for Lego. A little too smooth. You accusing me of frame interpolation, son? This is the shot in question, and there is some trickery to it, but it's not yucky AI. So the shotgun guy is actually composited on top when passing the gun to this bad guy. I did this because when I was trying to animate it and he's passing the gun, trying to get both minifigures to balance properly with the Spaz 12 in between them was just working out to be a nightmare. So I thought, well, I'll just shoot both of their movements separately and composite them together. And it worked out okay. I think what sells it is the fact that you can still see the shadow and reflection of the shotgun guy on this alien. And what I did for that is that whilst I was animating the guy on the right, I would shoot an extra frame with the shotgun guy in the background, but basically just in a general area that he would be when he was walking. So that way I didn't have to worry too much about doing his walking animation whilst animating the other guy. So I did get pretty lazy with this at times. I got a lot of nice comments about the smoothness of the movement in this brick film, so here is a breakdown of my walk cycle. So this is my walk cycle for 15 FPS. It's pretty bog standard. If you want to make your walk smoother, I would suggest paying attention to the slight movements that your minifigure is making as they walk. So if they turn to the left or right with a step, or if you notice they're slightly leaning a certain way, as long as it's not too much, because then it might look like they're drunk or something. But you want to follow through with that movement and ease it out. Because if you don't, you're basically just going to get inconsistencies where they're kind of jittering all over the place. Now the minimum number of frames that I would allow for any given direction change is like 2 or 3 at 15 FPS. If you only allow 1, that's going to make that kind of jittery look to your animation. Now, if you want to make it even smoother so that you receive accusations, do people still say that in gaming? Replace the first extended leg frame with another in-between frame. And this requires quite a bit of blue tack, and it's honestly a bit of a hassle to get right. Whenever I did this in the video, it was more out of necessity than anything else, because I maybe had the minifigure walking across 2 different plates, and that was causing the spacing between each frame to be a bit weird with the original walk cycle. So I had to find a way to counteract that, and came up with this different walk cycle. Honestly, for all the VFX shots in this brick film, it was the walking shots that I found the most bothersome. Who would have thought the most standard procedure in a brick film? But yeah, it's like the memes that 24 memes per second post. Animators, when they have to animate. It's true. You know, I think from now on, I'm just gonna have my little Lego figures zipping around on segways, because I think that would be a lot easier. All right, here's a tip. So while shooting this, I would sometimes have a shot that I found a little bit daunting because maybe there was a difficult piece of animation in it or camera movement in it, or maybe I was just out of practice with animating. And so I would procrastinate on it. Here's a little solution for that. If you're trying a new shot or you're just resuming after a hiatus, pick a day that isn't the most convenient. So maybe you've got a day that's freed up a little bit and you think you want to choose it for that day, but really start on, a day when maybe you've just got an hour or so free to try it. That way you can use that as your test run to let out all the mistakes. And then that gets you in the flow for when you actually have more time, and then you'll be able to animate it better. Also means that you don't feel like you've wasted that free day. Start the day before you think you're ready. There's a quote. Just wanted to say a massive thank you for all the kind words and feedback on this brick film. And I now know what a slug thrower is. If you like this video, I think that's pretty cool. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.